Good afternoon, and the story I'd like to share with you is a story of compassion and cherished moments. Ever since I could remember as a little kid, I had fond memories of my grandfather on my mother's side. And there's one thing that I learned over time in my 34 years of life, and it's a quote that I like to perfect, but I have yet to put into good words. But my grandfather on my father's side, whom I also loved and adored, lived to 100 years old. But because him and his father had problems, I wasn't able to cherish fond memories or moments with that grandfather. Versus the grandfather on my mother's side, I only knew for 6 years of my life. But I remember doing a lot of things with my grandfather, very cherishable moments, when we used to sit down and eat fruit in the front yard on Mobile Street, when we were right there by Cash School. My cousin Jimmy and my cousin Manny and my cousin Elena. I remember we used to be there with Tata and pretty sure all of us. But in particular, I kind of remember when I was living there with my mother, we would get up in the morning and get in his old brown ride and go down to Smitty's and go over here and go over there and take my nana to downtown, and just tons of memories I had with him. When I got my finger chopped off in the high chair, they rushed me to the hospital. That was in 1985 when the Challenger blew up, when the teachers and scientists that were going up into space, one of the very first shuttle explosions, disasters. What luck if it was mine. Well, the doctor was putting stitches in my finger. The shuttle was on TV exploding. It was such a sad moment. But there sat my grandfather in the doctor's office with me, and I remember it just like it was yesterday. So, needless to say, you could spend 100 years with somebody and not have one fond memory. And then again, you could spend 5 years with somebody. And really, it was less than that, because I was in adolescence and I really didn't start coming to around 3-4 years old. So 3-4 years I had with my grandfather Caius. Well, apart from that, here I am now getting a chance to be with my grandmother Caius. And just when we were little, she used to take us out to Macy's and take us downtown and take us all around. And now that she's calmed down a little bit and doesn't move as much, she can sure direct orders just like she did back then, but doesn't move as much. And I'm happy to be here in this moment to spend time with her and do for her now. Not like she cooked for me back then when I was little, when I was helpless, and she dragged me along and made my day. I like to do that for her. I'm not gonna lie, there's sometimes after Nana's been here 3 or 4 days, and the way I like to service people, and I get them tea and I get them water and I'm at their beck and call, it can get kind of overwhelming by the 4th day. But needless to say, I just get away and go talk with my tia Ned. I didn't know my tia Ned very well prior to coming back. I remember spending a lot of time with my cousin Jimmy. I remember the time my tata scolded my cousin Jimmy in one of the most memorable days of my entire life, and told him he couldn't go down to the river bottom right there at the Salt River, Rio Salado. And reason being was because Tata knew that there was just nothing but danger down there. And unfortunately, my cousin Jimmy's friends had got killed in some kind of a dirt collapse or some sort, or a sinkhole had ate them whole. And if my grandfather's sole purpose for being on this earth was to put good children and to put good grandchildren, he also saved one of his grandchildren. And I remember going to my cousin Marco's house and playing out late at night all throughout the neighborhood right there when my mom lived off Osborne, and going and visiting my tia Angie. She lived just a couple of apartment complexes down. And then my cousin Angelina, I remember she would go through her flashcards with me and teach me my multiplications, and we were just so little but trying to be so full of knowledge, sitting there with our pajamas on her bed going over the multiplication cards. And boy, at that particular time I thought I was just a genius, thought I was the smartest little rugrat around. And as many of you know, I left real early, so I cherish these moments. I remember me and my cousin Sharissa, we used to fight like cats. We used to be back and forth at each other at the house on East St. Anne. And all my cousins on the east side of the family, my cousin Jesus, my cousin Mario, my cousin Rogelio, my cousin Willie, may God bless his soul, may he rest in peace. I will meet up with him again one day. And just a lot of great moments. And that's what I'm back here for now. To start rekindling these moments and to start rekindling these friendships and to let my cousins know that I'm sorry I wasn't there for the past 30 years or 25 years. I know I came back once or twice and I was real selfish and I didn't get a chance to go see everybody. I let my parents dictate my in and around when I came in. You know, we were just here for a couple of days, but still no excuse. I thank my mom for her keeping somewhat of a little bit open of a relationship with all of my aunts and uncles and my cousins. Therefore, it's not as hard for me now as it is today. Like I said, I really feel ashamed that I wasn't here for more in more parts of the lives of my loved ones. Wasn't here when my cousin Felix passed away. How selfish was I? I could have got on a plane and came. I spent tons of money on other things, but you just don't realize in things until you're actually put in the situation. And when I got back, when I was in Mexico, that's when it really has sat in my heart and said, you need to go and reconcile and be one with your cousins. One of these days we're gonna all be again together, and we're gonna spend our dying days together, just like our parents and grandparents have done. You know, my Nana, she was getting old and ill in her later age. Everybody got close, and just like my grandmother Caius is getting up in age, well, you know, she's starting to make amends and talks to almost every single one of her kids now that I've been back. And I just want to do the same thing with all my cousins and aunts and uncles. I want to let them know that I've been gone for a long time, but I'm here now. And whatever I could do to make a smile or put a smile on your face, you just let me know. If it's sharing scripture, if it's talking stories, or if it's telling you any one of my many adventures, that we could sit down at a table together and enjoy each other's company like I have with a lot of my family members. Just here recently, my beloved grandmother Connie Ruiz passed away. I loved her to death. Those of you that know her, she used to always buy us shirts. And I know she spent a lot of her money going to the casino, and she was entitled to that. That's what she likes to do. But she always bought us something before she went and splurged on herself. But she had a very long 2 months fighting to stay alive. She was a very strong woman. I learned a lot of respect and a lot of knowledge of how we go about seeing our loved ones passing on, leaving this world. I know a lot of you guys remember more vividly with my Dr. Caius, but I was real young. I remember the funeral more than I remember the actual at the hospital. And on my grandmother Ruiz that just passed away, Concepcion, well, I got a chance to be there with her this whole time, and it really means a lot to me because I walked out on my family once again, and I feel like a coward for doing it. I've done it almost all my life, ever since I was 11 years old. I don't know what it is, but at 11 years old I was out there in the mischief in the streets of Houston doing crazy things, and I'd run away, and I'd come back, and I'd run away, and the cops would bring me back, and I'd run away, and my dad would beat me down, and I'd run away, and just the prodigal son from day one. Don't know when I'm ever going to get it right. But sometimes my family members, they say, well, don't you miss your mom and dad? Well, the truth of the matter is that I've been walking away since such a young age that it doesn't bother us anymore. We know that when we see each other, we love each other, and we make it good and make it right. But we're even better away from each other. Now, how sick can that be? But it's just, sometimes it's better that way. One thing that my father told me that I'll always remember is that a good friend is someone that you don't see all the time. And I can relate to that now that I'm a little bit older and a little bit wiser. But when you don't see somebody all the time, you don't get fed up with them. Now imagine, I just been here 1 year. And if you're fed up with me already, well, tell you what, we're going to have to work on them skills, because no reason why any of us should be fed up with anybody. Nobody's perfect, and we're all in the same boat. Nobody better than anybody else. Everybody wipes the ass the same way. And everybody just needs to love each other and break barriers and sit down at the table and enjoy and be merry. Now, my cousins on the Ruiz side of the family, I'm almost even scared to hang out with them because we're so alike. On the Kaya side of the family, ain't had that many people in jail. Just maybe my cousin Doy, myself. I did a 1.5 years in the penitentiary, 1.5 years on paper. It was a well lesson learned. I'll never fight with state troopers ever again. But on the Ruiz side of the family, I've got cousin after cousin after cousin that likes in and out of the system, and I guess we're just hard heads from the word go. But it doesn't mean that we're bad people. I love them dearly. I just haven't had a chance to go to the jailhouse and sit with them and talk with them, and I hope that they get out a changed person. And me myself, it's up to me to cherish these moments and these memories, to talk about them and to intervene to the lives, and to consistently text and call and try my best to network with them. And I know there's them times where we don't want to talk to nobody, and we want to turn our phones off and silent, this and that. And the one I like the best that I hear from almost all my cousins is, oh, I've already been there, I've already tried that, I've already done that. Well, it says in the book of Corinthians that love is long-suffering, love is patient, love over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it took me a while to understand that concept. I mainly learned it through crucifying this flesh and saying, there's no reason for me to be mad at anybody. Let me forgive everybody so that I may be forgiven, and let me continue to reach out to them. If I've wronged them and if I've done bad, let me continue to ask for their forgiveness so that I can be part of their lives, so that I know that if they need me, that they can call on me. That's what makes me more happier than anything in the world. Since I can't go out and serve Jesus in an organization or a step of faith, I said, might as well just do it here with my same family members, you know. Of course, I'm no saint. I've messed up more than all you guys. But I know that there's a supernatural power from on high that made it possible for you to be here today, and made it possible for me to be here with you, so we can cherish the moments and the memories of the rest of our lives. You know, went to my cousin Timothy's wedding, waiting to go to my cousin Marco's graduation. I see my cousin Angelina on Instagram, my cousin Sarah Ruiz. I work with my cousin Albert and Jesse here and there. all my cousins over here in the neighborhood, Doy, Paul, Andrew, Alana, Jake, Joel, Xavier, little Nick, cousin Jim, Tia Bobby, Tia Nat. I love it here on the south side. My Tia Dini has been so nice and kind to me to let me reside with her at her house. And I'm a hard person to live with. She is one strong woman. One thing I've noticed about my tia is that she doesn't have a character like me and my mom. She doesn't get mad. Rolls right off. Very strong person. I would assume that's the way my tata was. And I was looking at a picture of my tata Kayas today, and I tell you what, I resemble one of his smiles. One of his smiles, that black and white picture where he has his little golf hat on and he got his glasses and you can just see his real thick mustache, but he has his head kind of tilted like this. And it's one of my most favorite kind of poses, when I tilt my head and smile. And I said, well, man, maybe I got that from my grandfather. Just one of them DNA gene things that you naturally get. And I love seeing all my second cousins, how close they resemble to their mothers and fathers. And I know I've left out a lot, but one thing I learned about storytelling is this is just a seed. I freestyled this story today so I can learn to express my feelings for sharing moments. We all have a common incident, and that's sharing beautiful moments. And if I could relate and touch with you special moments, then I could elaborate on them down the road. It's only a little 16-minute story. Real professional, as I'm studying in school, needs to get up to the 30 minutes to 45 minutes. And like I said, I apologize for leaving a lot of my cousins out, and my sisters and my brothers. Overall, you guys know I try to reach out to everybody, and that's what I encourage you to do. You may not talk to them today, but talk to somebody that you normally talk to anyways. Share us a special moment tonight, and lock it into your heart so you can bring it up when times are rough, or when you're by yourself, or when you don't have nobody. Like I spent many nights. It was the memories that gave me the inspiration to carry on and make sure I got back safe to Arizona, so I can continue where I left off. And I'm glad I didn't grow up here with a lot of my cousins, because I probably would have ruined a lot of relationships. Being an idiot, being prideful, and being stubborn. Thank you very much for hearing my story. Cherish moments and have a great evening. Thank you.